Coming up on 5 Minute News. Leaked Oath Keepers list includes elected officials and police chiefs. Steve Bannon to surrender today to face indictment for fraud. And record temperatures cause California to issue electricity alerts. It's Thursday, September 8. I'm Anthony Davis. Hundreds of US law enforcement officers, elected officials and military members appear on the leaked membership rolls of a far-right extremist group that's accused of playing a key role in the January 6 insurrection at the US Capitol, according to a report released yesterday. The Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism pored over more than 38,000 names on leaked Oath Keepers membership lists and identified more than 370 people it believes currently work in law enforcement agencies, including as police chiefs and sheriffs, and more than 100 people who are currently members of the military. It also identified more than 80 people who were running for or served in public office as of early August. The membership information was compiled into a database published by the Transparency Collective Distributed Denial of Secrets. The data raises fresh concerns about the presence of extremists in law enforcement and the military who are tasked with enforcing laws and protecting the US. It's especially problematic for public servants to be associated with extremists at a time when lies about the 2020 election are fueling threats of violence against lawmakers and institutions. The Oath Keepers, founded in 2009 by Stuart Rhodes, is a loosely organized conspiracy theory-fueled group that recruits current and former military, police and first responders, and falsely promotes the belief that the federal government is out to strip citizens of their civil liberties and paints its followers as defenders against tyranny. More than 24 people associated with the Oath Keepers, including Rhodes, have been charged in connection with the January 6 attack. Rhodes and 4 other Oath Keeper members or associates are heading to trial this month on seditious conspiracy charges for what prosecutors have described as a weeks-long plot to keep then-President Donald Trump in power, despite him losing the election. The one-time strategist for former US President Donald Trump and recipient of a presidential pardon, Steve Bannon, is expected to surrender to New York authorities today to face a new indictment. In 2020, Bannon was accused in federal court of defrauding donors to a fund to build a wall alongside the US-Mexico border, but that indictment was dismissed after he was pardoned in the final hours of Trump's presidency. The new indictment is for state criminal charges that may mirror parts of the earlier federal case, though it's unclear because the indictment is still sealed. Bannon is expected to appear in state court in Manhattan today and then be released pending trial. A president can pardon people for federal crimes, but not state crimes. Bannon is not the first Trump ally to be charged in state court. In 2019, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office attempted to pursue former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort on felony charges, including mortgage fraud, that were similar to crimes for which Manafort had been convicted in federal court. But the charges were dismissed after rulings that they amounted to double jeopardy, or trying someone twice for the same conduct. Manafort was pardoned by Trump in 2020. Brian Kolfage and Andrew Badaleto, who were charged alongside Bannon in the federal We Build the Wall case, pleaded guilty to fraud charges in April. In July, Bannon was convicted of contempt of Congress for defying a subpoena from the Select Committee investigating last year's attack on the US Capitol, a verdict the panel called a victory for the rule of law. 68-year-old Bannon championed America First right-wing populism and fierce opposition to immigration that became hallmarks of Trump's unique brand of fascism. A record heatwave put California in a fossil fuel conundrum. The state has had to rely more heavily on natural gas to produce electricity and avoid power outages, while Governor Gavin Newsom's administration moves toward ending the use of oil and gas. The heat wave that started more than a week ago has been hotter and longer than any other in the state, and it put unprecedented strain on power supplies. That prompted Newsom to plead with people to use less power to avoid rolling blackouts, a practice that involves cutting some people's power to save energy so the lights can stay on for everyone else. The effort worked, but meeting the state's heightened energy demand also required activating generators fueled by natural or methane gas, which is still a major part of the state's power picture. Demand will only climb in the years ahead. By 2045, when the state is mandated to get all of its electricity from non-carbon or renewable sources, demand is expected to be as high as 78,000 megawatts due to more electric home appliances and cars on the road. To meet that demand, both the government and major utilities like Pacific Gas and Electric are working to scale up renewable sources such as solar and wind power, as well as large-scale batteries that can store that power for use at night. You can subscribe to 5 Minute News on YouTube with your preferred podcast app. Ask your smart speaker or enable 5 Minute News as your Amazon Alexa flash briefing skill. Subscribe, rate and review online at 5minute.news. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.